Hello everyone and welcome to Visual and Performing Arts Resources during COVID-19 video. I am your host today, Kathy Anderson. I am the GT consultant for the Gifted and Talented program for the Kentucky Department of Education. And today our two presenters are Lauren Case and Carla Pleasant. Lauren Case is the GT facilitator for Visual and Performing Arts for Fayette County, and Carla Pleasant is the GT facilitator for the School for the Creative and Performing Arts, also in Fayette County. And they're going to share with us some ideas about how to provide services for the students who are identified for visual and performing arts. And so with no more ado to that, I'll share with you what we're going to be talking today. They're going to give some introductions about themselves. I'm going to talk just a little bit briefly about identification and services for students, and then Carla is going to talk about Flipgrid and how to use that, and then Lauren is going to provide some resources and ideas for serving students. So let's just get to it. All right, first of all, according to the gifted regulation, students must be identified through an evidence of performance for visual and performing arts. So this has to include one of the following, and you have to, either have auditions for students where they showcase what they can do, either for dance, drama, visual art, or for music. For music, of course, it can either be instrumental or vocal. So you can have auditions for students where you have people who are specialists who will adjudicate looking at the student's performance, or you could have letters of recommendation from specialists or teachers. And of course, these letters need to include, where they saw students perform, what they saw the students do in their performance, their observation and anecdotal evidence there. Or it could be a product or portfolio assessment, and this would include performances that the students would have. And so, very important that any of these types of things include this evidence of performance. Evidence can also include awards or critiques of performance, or a portfolio of their visual and performing arts ability. Like, for example, if you had somebody in the visual arts, you might want to have a student put into their portfolio pieces that they feel are their very best works of art. It could include different genres. It could have, landscapes, or it could be portraits, or it can be a still life. It could be different types of things. So that's a little bit about the identification process. For services, there has to be at least 2 services for each category a student is identified in. And these services must be provided during the regular school day unless there's going to be an academic competition or extracurricular offering. And so services can come in a wide variety of types of things, besides just chorus and art classes and band and that type of thing. Services could be providing a mentor for a student. It could be a college student who maybe is providing a mentoring relationship with a high school student, where the mentor might help that person with the audition process. The audition process can be very daunting for students, and so it would be a good idea to have kind of a run through, or maybe a mock-up of what an audition might look like, and that high school or college student might be able to help a student who's an elementary or a middle school student. It could also be a collaboration between the GT specialist and the regular classroom teacher. It could also be consultation services where the GT specialist is in some way, form, or fashion providing resources for students, and also helping the regular classroom teacher with resources for a student in the visual and performing arts. There are many different types of services that are listed in the gifted regulation. I encourage you to look at those, and if you have any questions, to reach out to me about that. Also, the KAR talks about that there needs to be grouping for instructional purposes. So if you've got a group of students who are identified for band, or for music, or for art, it would be a good idea to group those students together according to their skill level. And it also encourages them to talk and to really good way for them to perform together. Of course, using social distancing and all those good things that we've got to think about during the pandemic. And again, grouping needs to be based on their interest and abilities and needs, and could include social and emotional. As we know, all students are having social and emotional needs during COVID, but this would be a really good time to have either a Zoom meeting or a Google Meets with a small group of students to talk about the social and emotional needs that they may be having. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Carla Pleasant, and Carla is going to be talking about what is Flipgrid and all things Flipgrid. So over to you, Carla.
Okay, just a moment to slip over to our screen here and do some presenting. Okay, my name is Carla Pleasant, and I am the GT facilitator for SCAPA, the School for Creative and Performing Arts in Fayette County. This is my 23rd year at SCAPA, and it is my 32nd year overall. Prior to coming to SCAPA, I taught elementary general music, chorus, middle school chorus, elementary, middle school, high school band, elementary strings, and elementary, middle school piano. So if it's been music, I've been in. Last year, around October, around this time, Fayette County made the determination that all 3rd through 8th grade students were going to be receiving a Chromebook. They were going to be using these Chromebooks to go one-to-one, 3rd through 8th grade. In hindsight, it has been a wonderful thing that they did that, because at that time we didn't know we were going to be embarking on a global pandemic where we would need this technology. But I currently, in addition to managing the arts program at SCAPA 4th through 12th grade, I also teach a middle school piano class. And I, as also one of the technology coordinators in my building, was looking for a way to incorporate more technology into my piano class. Now, for those of you who are musicians, you know piano is usually a very solitary pursuit, and you're just usually playing on your own. You will occasionally get to do some accompanying. You'll occasionally get to do duets, trios, those sorts of things. But for the most part, it's an individual pursuit. So I had 19 students in my class last year in a 42-minute class that met 3 times a week. So I was having difficulty being able to really meet the needs of all of my students on a daily, weekly, or even bi-weekly basis to really spend quality time for them. So I found out at ISTE 2 summers ago, which is the International Society for Technology Education, about a wonderful tool called Flipgrid. And I decided this would be a perfect way for me to incorporate more technology in my class. What Flipgrid is it is a free platform that allows you to post prompts and have students respond to the prompts with short videos. They can respond to just the teacher, or they can respond to each other. And you can use Flipgrid on any device. It works on any type of computer, whether it is a PC or a Mac. It works on iPhone, it works on cell phones, it works on iPads. Any device that has a webcam, you can use Flipgrid on it. In addition to that, Flipgrid is also available as an external tool in Canvas, and you can use it as share your Flipgrid assignments with Google Classroom. Makes it a very flexible device to use for students. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little demo of exactly what Flipgrid is. Now, the way that you get to Flipgrid is it's flipgrid.com. Very easy to get to on the web. They also have, as you can see at the top of the screen, a remote learning guide that the Flipgrid folks have specifically put together on how to use Flipgrid during remote learning or hybrid learning. I first started using this as an in-person learning tool, but it has been invaluable as I have been working remotely with my students. So as I sign in, because I already have a Flipgrid account, you're going to come across something that looks like this. This is your dashboard. Just a little bit of an overview of what this dashboard looks like. Your discussion area is where you start every time you log into Flipgrid. And it is organized into groups. And as you can see, I have some different groups here that I belong to. When you click on a group or create a group, you will see then topics. Topics are the individual assignments within groups. For this is, we used this last spring for our 8th grade showcase of performances. And then when I click on the individual topic, you can see all of the individual student responses to the actual performance assignment. What happened was students actually uploaded their video directly from Flipgrid, and it curated all of their responses under the same topic. Then what I was able to do is take that topic and create something which was called a mixtape. Now, for those of you who do any type of performances, whether it's drama performances, whether it is music performances, dance performances, visual art, art talks, you can use these different types of groups you create a group and you can create these things and curate these videos together to do wonderful performances that you can share with your families. And I'll get to that in just a moment. So that is the discussion tab. The Discovery tab is a wonderful, wonderful device where you can actually search for topics that other educators have created within Flipgrid and then use those topics to add to your own assignments for students. For example, I search into topics here and type in integration docs. You can look at different hyperdocs, Edmodo, different hyperdocs here, how-tos, observing the weather, back to school, all kinds of wonderful things. The help tool over here, which is really where I needed to put in integration docs, allows you to search for tools for specific content areas. In the library, in professional development, high school mathematics, world languages, all different types of things here. And I'm going to move Kathy over to the side. There is actually an integration doc for Flipgrid in the arts. And it talks to you about how to set up your Flipgrid, and it gives you some ideas of how you can use Flipgrid for the arts. You can perform and describe movements in music that express ideas and feelings, explain how to show music, art, and dance, how and show music, art, and dance differs within genres or cultures. You can showcase a final product or video production. You can collaborate to practice and refine techniques and skills. You can create, perform, and respond to music. You can rehearse, evaluate, and refine to prepare for concerts or productions. And so you've got this wonderful, wonderful set of tools that you can use to find out some different things that are available within Flipgrid that you can just use that are already out there and are available to anyone. Mixtapes is what I had just talked to you about how you can take a set of student responses and create a performance that you can share with families, or you can actually share with each other. And for example, I had my piano students, we were going to do a live recital. That was not going to work very well with bandwidth. So I had my students upload their videos to me, which I was able to curate into an actual performance, and you can see all of the videos here. But it gave me a link that I could share with my families so that they could see all of the student performances. So during a pandemic, while we were not able to get together in a room live and hear each other play, we were able to actually do a recital where the kids uploaded their videos and shared it, and they all got to hear each other's videos. We also did this with our 8th graders. Every year at SCAPA, we have an 8th grade showcase where our students share their talents with each other, with the entire school, and then we do a public performance as well. But of course, in May, end of April and May, we were not able to do that with the pandemic. So I'm going to show you a little bit of our 8th grade showcase, what this looks like. This is the link that was shared with families, and I'm going to play a little bit of what our 8th grade band did, and they uploaded videos that were then curated into one video that was then uploaded into Flipgrid. Okay, that's just one example of how you can use Flipgrid to create a performance. And as you can see, as I scroll down here, these are all of this individual student performances. Now the nice thing about a mixtape is you can click on an individual student's performance, or you can watch them in whatever order that the teacher decides that they want to set up the video. So that is a Flipgrid mixtape. Like I said, I also did this with a spring recital. At the beginning of the school year, we asked that all of our teachers create a Flipgrid video to introduce themselves to our new students. And so we created this as well. And we have all of the individual teachers here. They created a little video, introduced themselves. And since we started the school year without actually being able to be in person, we were able to give the students a little information about who we were and our faces. So Flipgrid itself, like I said, is an incredibly powerful tool that you can use to do individual assignments. You can create performances. You can do all kinds of things with this. So let's get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty of how you actually would use this before you got to a performance. So I had last year in my piano minors class, this is my group, and you would create the group, name it whatever you want to. You can actually create your own join code. I want you to look at this right here where it says add a co-pilot. This allows you to add a co-teacher, a support person who could also have access to all of the student individual responses. And then I have all of these individual topics. Each one of these topics is my students. As you can see, it says progress checks. With 19 students that I only saw 3 times a week for a 42-minute class, it was impossible for me to really hear them play on a regular basis individually. So I started having them submit progress checks to me. And what I would do is I would listen to these progress checks and I would record videos back to them. So for example, let me grab a progress check here. So you can see kind of what it looks like. This was my prompt using Flipgrid, video yourself, playing your solo. And then I would have all these wonderful different responses. So I'm going to click on one of the students here. And as you can see, he is performing for me at home. I'm going to go ahead and pause that. So I was able to sit and listen to him play prior to even him coming to class. Once I was able to hear him play, you are able to, within Flipgrid, provide feedback to your students. I recorded a video feedback to him. I could add a grading rubric if I wanted to. I could type comments to him and send him a link to that, or actually just email the comments right back to him. But I could record a video right back to the individual student for their individual assignment. So I'm going to flip over now to our presentation here to go a little bit over into more in detail about Flipgrid. In the presentation today, I've included several slides about how to get started into Flipgrid, a little bit of information about the different types, the tabs that are up at the top of the screen. When you go to your discussion page, your dashboard homepage, one of the things I didn't go over was shorts. This is Flipgrid's version of Screencastify. You can create your own videos for your student, instructional videos, and you can share those with your student either within Flipgrid itself or within Canvas or within Google Classroom. And then there are things called Grid Pals. Grid Pals are where you can connect with other Flipgrid users. It's almost like having your friends on Facebook or people who follow you on Instagram. You can follow each other using Grid Pals and find people who are in your same content areas, and you can share ideas back and forth. So Flipgrid is a very powerful tool. And the best news about this is it is completely free. There is no charge for this at any time. So some basics about Flipgrid. This is how it is organized. Discussion page, then you have groups, and then within groups you have topics, and then within topics you have responses. I have detailed information on how to create a group, and your groups are either individual units or individual courses. And then creating a topic, and those are the individual assignments. And this is all done within Flipgrid itself. And some more options. You can add attachments to your topics. You can schedule dates when it's available. You can set features. You can allows you to do the feedback. You can create your own custom rubric that would be attached to that individual Flipgrid topic. For students to do this, it is so easy. When they click on Flipgrid, it gives them a large green circle with a white plus sign in it. They click on that, they record, and it allows them to review their recording. They can edit it. They can add stickers or filters or text or any type of things that they want to add to their own videos. Then they take a selfie, and that's the cover image for your video. If you remember on the Mixtape, you had the little pictures that were on the screen to click on. Those were the selfies, and then they submit. This is where it gets really fun, is that Flipgrid, if you use Canvas or you use Google Classroom, and that is your learning management system, Flipgrid is actually integrated from within Canvas. So when you create an assignment within Canvas, you can just create it as an external tool. So students would not even have to go into Flipgrid to do the Flipgrid assignment. All they would have to do is click on the assignment within Canvas, and it would actually just pop up an assignment. And so within Canvas, so they wouldn't have to go use it as an external tool. And you can also, if you create a topic within Flipgrid and you use Google Classroom, you can automatically share it to Google Classroom. And on this screen here, these are live links, the Flipgrid Canvas integration instructions, and also sharing to Google Classroom video. These are specific instructions on how to set that up if you use either one of those two learning management systems. And I have a couple of tips here as well on how you can, once you do that, to create it and make it more effective. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to thank you for your time and attention. At the last slide on this presentation is my contact information via email. Since I'm not in the classroom very much right now or in my office at school, the best way to get in touch with me is by email. And I will be happy to help anyone get set up with Flipgrid and figure out some different ways to use it. But it is a powerful, powerful tool, and I encourage you to check it out. All right, Miss Lauren, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and tag, you are it.
All right. So, and just to kind of piggyback on what Carla was saying, I have used Flipgrid tons, and the kids love it, and I love it, and it's wonderful. I am Lauren Case. I am the Visual and Performing Arts Specialist for the Gifted and Talented Department in Fayette County Schools. This is my 19th year in education, and in all of those 19 years, kind of like Carla was saying, I've always done visual and performing arts. I've taught dance, drama, visual art, collaborated a lot with music teachers, put on programs, the whole 9 yards. So I'm happy to help with any of your all's needs in various arts areas as well. One of the ways, since I am coordinating identified students across our entire district and at all levels, 4th through 12th grade, I jumped on the Bitmoji Classroom bandwagon at the beginning of the year. I actually kind of hesitated on doing it at first because I was sort of a step back from my own classroom and my own group of students and was seeing so many students in a large group, and I wasn't sure how the Bitmoji Classroom would work. So I hesitated at first, but then have realized it really is a great tool to pull students together no matter where they are, allow them to click on various links to projects, activities, resources. And I found that many of my classroom teachers are visual and performing arts specialists in the schools, music teachers, art teachers, drama teachers, gifted and talented resource teachers assigned to various schools and grade levels can then use my Bitmoji Classroom links to link to their own classrooms, websites, whatever. So it has ended up being a really great tool. This is just a screenshot of my homepage. So there's no live links on this, but like Carla was saying with Flipgrid, I'm happy to help you set this up, walk through it, give you some tips. If you Google Bitmoji Classrooms, you'll get tons of templates, ideas, and just a lot of sharing that's happening on the internet. Right now, there's Facebook groups that you can jump in on where people are sharing things. So this is just sort of a sample of what mine is because I'm trying to, like I said, coordinate all different levels and all different art forms. So as we move through this, you can add images. Here I've got the fall pumpkin, and it clicks to a page that I actually am in the process of working on now that just has different opportunities and activities that I want my students to be able to access and focus on quickly and easily. So I try to save space on my Bitmoji Classroom so I can add in these extra details, and I keep the same. The dance room is always there, the drama room, the music room, the visual art room, some of the other links I'm going to show you in a little bit. But then I have other areas that it doesn't get too cluttered, and I have it organized to where kids can click and see and know what to do. So this is just an image I added with the pumpkin for, special announcements or projects that I have kind of going on currently. Then on each of those pages that were across the bottom, I have the dance room, the drama room, the visual art room, the music room. You can see these are, again, just some screenshots of those. I have the dance room that flew in first, visual art, and then I actually even created a separate Bitmoji Classroom, and it's not actually a link on the homepage that I just showed you, but this is how we're getting out all of our audition information right now. So I made a different Bitmoji Classroom, which all of these are done in Google Slides, and then you just publish them through the web and set them up in presentation mode so students see them without all the tools and the different slides down the side. But here you can go and you could click on all the different arts areas and get into our audition information as well. So there's just lots of ways that you can link. It can go to other slide pages. It can go to external links. It can go lots of places, and everything is managed on that one home page, that one Bitmoji Classroom or slide. On there then, and this is a sample of when I went to the dance classroom, then students can click on all these different activities, and I can rotate those out. I never really have to change that home page unless I want to add like that pumpkin that I had in there for fall activities. I could add, I could add other icons, images, or whatever to link out to other activities. But when you click on the dance page, it always brings you then to this page. And all I have to do in the 3 windows that I have there, those 3 sort of bulletin boards, is change my activities. Once you click on that, the one I've got circled says, what is dance? Then it takes you then to that project, those activities, instructions, information, and I can just change that image, that icon, that title right there that I have circled, and I never have to change the other home page, and I never have to change this actual Bitmoji Classroom setup. It's already there. I just change all of the links, and everything in here is linked the way you would normally link anything in Slides or Google Docs, where you can link, a title and then have a website linked to that, or a link back to your Google Drive, or to embed YouTube links, anything like that. So all of this just is seamlessly organized through our Google Drives, and it works really, really well for students. One of the other ways, and I use the Bitmoji Classroom to get this information out to my students, is right now, since we're virtual, I still give them projects, activities, enrichment things that they can do, and weave that into what they're already doing virtually in their other classrooms. But one of the biggest things I'm doing is I'm hosting weekly Zooms with community artists, performers, and local arts organizations. Now, no matter where your county is, no matter where your community is, big or small, you have local artists, performers. You probably have community theater groups, community dance studios, visual artists that live in your communities, musicians that live in your communities. Plus, there's many organizations in bigger cities like the Lexington and Louisville area that are promoting tons of virtual options as well. Right now, I'm hosting these weekly Zooms on Wednesday. I call it Picnic with the Arts. It's at noon on Wednesday, so that it's during almost all students' lunchtime. They can pop in and out. They can stay as long as they can or they want to. And then I always follow it up with either a recording or the website information and other ways students can get involved with these artists and performers and organizations, or ways that students can get involved with an enrichment activity or a project that has to do with that. On Fridays, I developed a different Zoom called FaceTime, which stands for Friday Arts and Community Enrichment, kind of just a play on the whole Zooming, Google Meet, Teams, FaceTime, all these video communications that we're doing. And have just reached out and have artists and organizations meeting with me on these times with students. Here on the slide, you'll see I included a link. Lexington's local arts organization, Lex Arts, that's kind of the umbrella organization for many of our community arts organizations and local arts organizations, put together, they reached out to all of these different artists and organizations, asked them to put together some virtual activities and learning that they are offering to still connect with students and schools and teachers. So there's a link on there that you can go to that. It's constantly being updated as organizations have new offerings or have a new virtual performance, or maybe even outdoor performance that you can go to live, socially distanced. So bookmark that, save it as a link, and kind of keep checking back to it. I'm sure there's many other organizations in the state that are doing these kind of things. Being in Lexington and in Fayette County, this is the one that I'm most connected with, and they really have a great just group of artists, organizations, and activities that you can do. Many of them are even free right now, or they're charging low fees to do things virtually and Zooming with you and your students. So check those out and reach out to many of those organizations. So how I set up all these community arts sort of Zoom meetings is I developed this. I started sending out tons of emails, reaching out to artists, sent them a Google Doc, an editable Google Doc that I shared with them, and everyone could just kind of sign up for a date that worked with them. If they've got a performance or an activity or a gallery or anything coming up, either live or virtual, that families and students can get involved in. A lot of them have done dates that are prior to that, so they can kind of talk it up and do a little publicity for their event in sort of reciprocation for their time with me. Most of these organizations, in fact, all of them thus far, have committed to doing this with me for free. It's only about 30 minutes of their time, 45 minutes with a little bit of question and answer from the kids at the end. And then I sent out links and information, their contact information, websites, upcoming events, and things like that for schools and students and families then to be involved in, following up from their live time with my students. So this is just an example of the slide that I made for my FaceTime. I include the Zoom link and the meeting ID for my students to jump on. I put our schedule up there. I'm in the middle of kind of switching over from September to October things. And I put then, after we've done one of these activities, the link or the name to the organization becomes a live link with either the recording or the follow-up information on there, so that if a student can't come or they just want to rewatch or follow up, they can go click and access things that they missed or things that they want to watch again, or projects and activities, enrichment things related to what we did. So that's FaceTime Fridays. Picnic with the Arts is kind of the same way. I set it up, sent out an editable Google Doc. I've always got a can't join us, click here, see what you missed. It just takes them to other external slides and recordings and information for what they've done. So Google Slides is literally my best friend with organizing all of my communications with my students, whether it be the Bitmoji Classrooms and activities that I'm sharing with them, or these links and all of these activities. It's just so easy to use. It's so easy to embed, integrate, share, and everybody can kind of join in and easily access these things. Kids can bookmark and save these embedded web links that I've published of the slides, or save them in the shared with me sections of their Google Drive, and then they've always got access to them and they're not looking around for everything. And like I said, everything is all on my Bitmoji Classroom. In fact, if I go back to it here real quick before we move on, you'll see that there's the room links. Here's my Picnic with the Arts and my FaceTime links, and everything, when you click on that, takes the kids directly to where they are. So they basically just need this one Bitmoji landing page, and this has just been a great way for me to be able to communicate with students across various grade levels, across the different arts disciplines, and especially across all the different schools that we have in Fayette County as such a large district. So I'm happy to answer any questions after this. Like Carla said, our contact information is in one of the last slides on this, and feel free to contact us about any other information and resources that we've provided you all today. Thanks for joining us and just listening to some of the ways we're communicating with our students. And I'm going to turn it back over to Kathy.
Thanks, Lauren. And thank you, Carla. Great job. I'm going to see if I can click back on just to share just a few more things here with you. And I'll need to zoom on through these things here, because y'all have talked about these, and I have learned a lot about Flipgrid and about how to organize things. Here are just a few national arts organizations that you might want to check into. Our own Kentucky Music Educators Association, they have a great web page with music resources for educators and for students. If you have any questions about how choir and band need to be run and COVID-19, they have a great web page for that. The National Arts Education Association has lots of different resources there too. There's also the National Dance Educators Organization. which provides different forums and journals, and also professional development, webinars, and those types of things. There's also an educational theater organization, which provides information about upcoming programs and events, and also resources. So feel free to click on those pages and investigate those for more ideas for your visual and performing arts program. Here is our contact information for today. Again, there is Carla Pleasant and Lauren Case and myself there. Feel free to reach out to them through email. They can be best probably found that way, and then you can either call or email me. Thank you again for joining us. Hope that this has been a great benefit to you. And like I said before, just reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you again, and have a great day.